We could probably wait like a minute.
Yeah, it's 6:59. Yeah, we'll wait until 7 on the mark and then we're good.
I'd like to call this meeting to order. If the clerk would please call the roll.
Trustee Ara,
Here.
Kennedy,
Here.
Micah,
Here.
Hash, Moon, Carr,
Here.
President Niedermeyer.
If everyone would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pleasure.
First on the agenda for this evening is the disposition of the previous. Okay.
Sir.
What am I going to do?
Can we request a motion from the board to nominate trustee Carr, president pro tem this evening?
So second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Melissa?
Oh, wait.
Melissa, are you there? Can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, so she's there. So, well, now trustee Carr would do that now that he's pro tem.
Yes.
So trustee Carr, you request a
Yeah,
motion to
request a
accept.
motion to accept allowing President Niedermeyer to attend the meeting telephonically this evening.
Second.
First.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, on to the disposition of the previous minutes for May 12th, 2022 for the combined committee and board meeting. If someone please make a motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Trustee Ara,
Aye.
Kennedy,
Aye.
Micah,
Aye.
Moon, Carr.
Aye. Move on to reports. The village administrator report. Ryan Grace, please.
No report this evening.
Village clerk report. Clerk Charles.
Yes, I do. This Monday, May 30th, the village will be holding a Memorial Day ceremony at 11 o'clock at the intersection of Archer and Willow Springs Road. I hope you all can attend. And this is just a reminder that village vehicle stickers are due by June 30th. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Lori. Move on to the reports of village officials, village engineer. I'm going to pass on that this evening. Village attorney.
No report.
Village treasurer will also pass on this evening. Reports of standing committees, the finance and administration, trustee Ara.
Thank you, trustee Carr. I would like to make a motion to approve item 781, form 22-010 dated May 26, 2022. Payroll and payroll expenses in the amount of $108,208.74. All fund expenses in the amount of $100,499.55 for a total of $208,708.29.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Trustee Ara,
Aye.
Kennedy,
Aye.
Micah,
Aye.
Moon, Carr.
Aye. Public Safety Committee, trustee Kennedy. Oh, I'm sorry.
Mhm.
I forgot sometimes you.
Yeah. I just dropped off to all the trustees. You have it in the video game report for April, which is looking great for 2022 over 2021. Business profits are over $45,000 ahead of last year. Revenue to the village is for the month is over $2,000 ahead of last year, and actually year to date we're almost $14,000 ahead on revenue for video gaming. So that's just an update for everybody. And then the reminder of the car show, spots are filling up already, which is really good for our event. So anybody that wants premier spots, please get registered. And that ends my report.
Thank you. By the way, I like how you put the DDA names down instead of the corporate ones. It was always hard to find out who was who, so I appreciate that. Public Safety Committee, Trustee Kennedy.
I have no report tonight.
Thanks, Mike. Municipal Building and Grounds Committee, Trustee Micah.
Thank you, Mr. Carr. I was just wanted to report with the Parks and Rec had a plant exchange and went pretty well last weekend. So that was all. And our next meeting is going to be June 20th at 6:30. So that's the end. That's the end of my report, sir.
Thank you. Public Works Committee, Trustee Pash isn't here. Were you going to give a report of any type, Keith? Okay. License and Franchise Committee, Trustee Moon.
Mayor, we have no new license applied for this year or this month, so that is my report.
Building and Zoning Committee, I don't have a report for this evening. We'll move into our action items. First one being an action regarding 8624 Archer Avenue plat of subdivision approval. Can we have a motion to approve that?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Yes, I've given everybody a copy of some information regarding this property and how it was really perceived that part of this development back in 2000 for Village Center was conceived. Now, this property in some ways really becomes landlocked because I hear that the one person that lives next door to this property doesn't want to sell to allow the complete development of that whole section. So the builder that owns this property has come up with an alternative. And while the alternative that's provided in our documents that we have today, I think we have to consider a few things. There is an easement that has been granted on what is the Gilmore property right now. And that easement granted was for driveway access, basically to get to where these townhomes are to be built on this property. The problem with that is, and we're gonna have to deal with this somehow, some way, is the fact that you're taking away approximately 50% of the parking spots in that property on that pin by that easement being granted. And so when that whole development was done, and you look at the parking spots, because I went and counted them, right now there's
I tried to do that. You couldn't tell because there were no
30,
lines.
there are 32 parking spots. Now, if you look at the building, we estimate the square footage somewhere around 12,000 square foot. You look at our ordinances, our current ordinances would say that there should be like 4 to 5 parking spots per 1,000 square foot for typically what that building would be used for. So the current spots that are there are under what our norm would be. And then we take these spots away because of the easement to gain access to these townhome properties. Now we really need to replenish those parking spots. And I think somewhere down the road, this property, first of all, is probably going to have to go through some variances because of setbacks on the north and south side of it. Square footage, a few things related to R3. But the other big thing for me is that it's great that there's an easement there, but that easement takes away over 50% of the parking. That pin was allotted for, and that was what it was designed for. So we're going to have to confront this issue with the builder and how we're going to deal with this. Now, I understand there's other parking, and that's all in the 400 building area. But I'm looking at this pin, this location, and we have pulled along that east side, there's 17 spots. We could possibly save some of them, depending on where the driveways are gonna be.
Looked like you could save about 4.
Yeah, you're not gonna save a lot, and realistically, I want whatever goes in there eventually to be successful. And part of that's gonna be that the parking's right too. And everybody knows that currently with some of the businesses that are along Market Street, they use all the parking on Market Street. Sometimes they trickle over to where the Gilmar property is right now for parking. And then if we start having another business there, I don't want that to hinder that business for not having enough parking. So we're gonna have to deal with it.
What does that? Business now, the only time I really see a lot of cars parked in that area is when, that restaurant is overflowed with people in there. And it's not even his parking area.
Well, yeah, and honestly, I'm really concerned about whatever business goes in where the Gilmar used to be. If it's another restaurant, there could be a lot more parking that may be required. We don't know what's gonna go in there. And I'm concerned that by moving forward with this development, and I'm not against this these townhomes being put there, but I say we gotta be cognizant of how that impacts the adjacent business that is basically under tax foreclosure right now.
Will the condos go in there where they have underground parking? Will they have rooms
It's townhomes.
in their own?
Garages.
Have parking on that property where they wouldn't have?
They have a driveway that's probably maybe 20 foot long. It's about 18 foot wide in each one of them. So there's 4 units. So they'll have some parking there, but they still need access.
How many spots will they have? The way it's set up right now?
They'll have, I would say that normally you'll see 2 parking spots on a driveway, plus you'll have 2 in the garage. So they'll have 4, but the issue is not that. The issue is that on the east end of the Gilmar property, there's 17 parking spots right now. And right now,
Facing Archer?
no, facing east, facing this property, which is where the easement is. They got an easement right where those parking spots are, so they can get access to the property. Problem I see is that it's eliminating parking spots for that property.
The parking in there never really fills up, first off, and were those always designed, you might know, because you were around for the development of that, were those
Yeah.
always designed for parking there?
When it was first done, it was not designed for parking. Parking kind of just came there on its own. Someone striped it.
Yeah.
You know, the uses of the Gilmar building before, Gilmar had people in and out of there. Upstairs was always just offices with like 2 or 3 employees. So it's really all depends on what comes in there ultimately. And it may be
However-
restricted by this.
I mean, if you look at the design right now, the green space that's there, you could tell by this design in 2000 was supposed to be another building. And
Correct.
that's never gonna, most likely it's never gonna happen, but we need to reclaim some space for additional parking because we're gonna lose a substantial amount of parking.
Now, I don't know what the story is now, but when that whole project was first done, that parcel you're speaking of, next, just east of the Gilmar property, had a separate owner, no way related to the ownership of, I don't even know who that person is. It used to be a architect from, I think, Orland Park.
Well, all I'm trying to do is make this board aware of, we grant this, and I'm not objectionable to it. All I'm saying is that we have to be aware of how that impacts the parking where the easement was granted. Okay, and that's just an awareness for what goes on here, and we're gonna have to deal with that issue. Because we're taking away from it. And I don't know what business is gonna go in there. I don't know what business is gonna be upstairs. But if you look at our ordinances, you know, if it's office space, it's 4 parking spots per 1,000 square foot. If it's retail down below, it's about 5 parking spots per 1,000 square foot. Each level, I went and measured it today, it's about 4,000 square foot for each level.
Okay, so realistically, you're probably gonna need anywhere from like 42 to 60 parking spots, depending on how you want to calculate it and what business goes in there. And right now, there's only 32. Okay,
Well,
and then we're gonna take away.
we'll have to address it when
Yeah.
we
Well,
see
let me
what's
ask you
there.
again, 32 parking spots, how many of those did you say were granted? 17 for the restaurant that's there now?
No, they're not
Inside?
granted, no, they're not granted to anything. The whole Gilmar building and the parking lot is one pin. And I viewed that building and the requirements for the parking space. I'm giving everybody the information to say, even though they got the ability to create the access from the Gilmar parking lot to these townhomes, in doing so, you're going to eliminate a good portion of their parking on that pin number, that parking lot. That's what I'm trying to convey.
Will they come in off of what street? Is that Russ Street that goes down and comes in behind? Is that
No.
how they approach it?
You're gonna pull into Village Center, you're gonna make a right past the old Gilmar property.
Is that the only, isn't there another entrance way from the next street up?
That, there's an alleyway
There's a road-
behind,
There's a road there.
right, but if you look at the developer's plan, he is building a building that goes north to south from Archer to basically the alleyway with access off the Gilmar parking lot, parking spots. That's how he's,
So there's not going to be an alleyway behind these two,
Ernie, there is an alleyway there,
There's an
but
alleyway there. It's
It's
a
not
road,
gonna-
it's gonna be
What's that?
topographical.
at the end of the alleyway, it's raised up to go into, like, that ends into the parking lot that's existing.
so there's no access in the
No,
back.
This lot's about 10 feet higher than the alley.
well, and you know, Ryan and I, we pulled up a picture and he had an old picture that actually showed the garage to this property. So at one time before the house was taken down and the garage, you could go in that alleyway and park in that garage right at the end of the alleyway for the person that had the house there originally before it was all.
Okay, very good. Anyone else have any discussion in regards to this? If not, I'll look for a motion to approve it.
We have the motion second already.
Oh,
Rick and Mike, so it's
Oh,
just.
that's right. We went to discussion.
Yes, sir.
With no further discussion, please call the roll.
Trustee R,
Aye.
trustee Kennedy,
Aye.
Micah,
Aye.
Moon,
Who made the motion on this? Second?
Mike.
Micah did, and then Kennedy.
Him and second, okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
and then Car,
yeah,
all right,
go ahead.
and then Carr.
Aye.
Okay.
All right, let's move on to action item number 2. The action to remove Kaylee Zavinsky as village treasurer. Can we have a motion for that, please?
So, I'll second.
Any discussion? If not, please call the roll.
Trustee R,
Aye.
Kennedy,
Aye.
Micah,
Aye.
Moon, Carr.
Aye. Action item number 3, action to appoint Daniel Lee Dennis as village treasurer.
So moved. I'll second.
Second.
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Trustee R,
Aye.
Kennedy,
Aye.
Micah,
Aye.
Moon,
Aye.
Carr.
Aye.
Before we go any further, can we get a little resume? Can you tell us a little about your background?
Sure. Just live here.
Where you came from, who you work for?
Thank you, trustee. I've been working in governments for about 45 years. I started as a public accountant with Pete Marwin, audited the city of Chicago and some other places. Subsequently went to a consulting firm doing cost analysis and studies for governments. Then became head of public finance in Northern Trust for about 8 years. And then formed my own company in October 1997, doing financial analysis and bond work for local governments. I guess key things, I look at this role as part of my business as working with governments on financial accounting matters. People ask me, They do a good job in the bonds, we come in and help us on other projects. So I've worked with Bridgeview, I've worked with Lions, I've worked with Cook, Otter Creek Water Reclamation District, and basically kind of filled in the gaps, if you will, for entities that, you know, do not have a need for full-time finance. So,
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Action item number 4, an action to remove Christopher B. Burke Engineering Limited as the village engineer. Do we have a motion for that?
So moved.
I'll second. Any discussion?
I'd just like to say that conversations that I've had during this week is while we're removing them as village engineer, there's opportunities that we're still going to use them as another engineering firm. So we have multiple engineering firms, but they will not be the village engineer as we discussed. I just wanted to clarify, we still have a relationship with them and we will.
Very good. Thanks, Pat.
Trustee R,
Aye.
Kennedy,
Aye.
Micah,
Aye.
Moon, Carr.
Aye. And the last action item, number 5, the action to appoint Novotny Engineering as the village engineer. We have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Being none, please call the roll.
Trustee R,
Aye.
Kennedy,
Aye.
Micah,
Aye.
Moon, Carr.
Aye. Old business? Do we have any? No. New business? Public comment? Do we have any?
Nobody signed up. I don't know if there's any.
We're gonna see if anyone on. There's nobody.
He said nobody's on
Okay.
there.
Well, there is no public comment. Executive session, we do not require in this evening. Village president report, I believe Mayor Nettermeyer was gonna give that now.
Yes, thank you. And thank you, Paul, again. Okay, as background, the reason is by illness. I'm not ill, but we did have one positive COVID case in our house earlier this week. So everyone is actually feeling very well, and we keep testing negative with home tests. So I'm just practicing extra precaution, and thank you everyone for understanding and for helping out in my absence. I really appreciate it. First item that I want to report on is condolences to Trustee Kennedy and his family on the passing of his mom, Arliss. Mike, we're here for you, and we're very sorry for your loss. Second, congratulations to Administrator Grace, who hasn't announced this on his own, so I will announce it for him. He was recently selected as one of the West Suburban Chamber of Commerce's 30 under 40 for his impact and leadership in our town, as well as the greater community. So congratulations, Administrator Grace, for that.
Thank you.
And lastly, on Wednesday, we hosted milkshakes with the mayor, so wanted to report on that. It was very well attended, the best turnout yet that I've seen for one of these types of events. We had board members, officials, and all department heads there to chat with the residents, and it was a more informal atmosphere. And we will keep you posted on the next one. It was very, very nice. And last but not least, just want to announce, I don't think it has been stated yet, but a reminder that the Bill Wilcar show is June 5th. So looking forward to that. And that concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mayor. Moving on, at this point, I will call for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Oh, I would like to do that.
Thank you, trustee.
Okay, and
I'll
Ricky,
second.
who seconded? You. Time.
Please call the roll.
Trustee R,
Aye.
Kennedy,
Aye.
Micah,
Aye.
Moon, Carr.
Aye. So, meeting is adjourned.
7:23. Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to disconnect.
Thank you. Good night, everybody. Stay well.
Good night.